Well, welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
Well, I'm talking, of course, with Dan DeGito, and Dan has his book out. It's classic, and if you're into charitable giving and you're thinking you're going to even dip your toe in this book is almost required reading. It's out on Amazon.com, but I wanted to talk about the power of leverage of the Charitable Remainder Trust. And I think leveraging, this is the big issue we're talking about today, and we always think that charitable giving is, specific to the end of the year. But Dan, you do this all the time.
Oh, I do it all the time, and it takes a long time to talk about, to think about, the process. So people think about giving a charitable gift, and usually something motivates them during the course of the year, and they may write a check during the course of the year. The big stuff comes toward the end of the year, though, as people start making decisions about what are the charities that really mean the most to me, and then what kind of tax situation am I in. Then we get the year-end planning, and that's really significant.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about it. I'm going on our backroom technician doc here, and I want to talk about some of the reasons why people even consider a charitable gift. Talk about compassion, because a lot of this, everybody thinks that the only reason we're doing charitable giving is tax issues.
That's interesting you say that, because I always say that, charitable giving begins in the heart. It winds up in the stomach, which is the tax issues, but it begins in the heart. And, I think people look at what really matters to them. What organizations do I belong to that really matter to me? What do I love? What means something to me? That should override everything. Whether it's religious or civic, boys and girls clubs, which I'm involved in, other organizations. I mean, it's something that starts from the heart. It has to start with the heart. Because if you start with taxes, you're going to wind up being very dissatisfied.
So we really need to talk about the passions that our clients have. And you said they could be religious. I mean, there's people I know that have huge hearts but small wallets, but there's ways to play.
Right.
There's also, I like how these perpetual, even if you're not religious, you may have beliefs or core values or something that you want to perpetuate, but these all have to be IRS approved nonprofits.
501c3 organizations, there's nothing wrong. In fact, if you go online to charitynavigator.com, they always run lists of bona fide charities. You can check different charitable organizations out. I had a client once who wanted to give a donation. We were doing some planning, and she wanted to give a donation to her beauty school where she was a beautician. I tried to explain to her that wasn't a bona fide charitable organization just because it was an educational facility. So you really have to check out to make sure they're qualified under the code of 501c3.
Now, I noticed on our list here that it also talks about the perpetuation of the arts, the sciences, educational nonprofits.
I have a story for everything. My wife runs a performing arts center, nonprofit. She would kill me if I didn't mention that. The arts are very important to sustain. So, the bottom line is people do what they love. They want to support what they love, what means something to them. And that's the gist of charitable giving is you gotta start with your passion because the passion will fuel the gift. Tax deduction will make the gift more exciting. Tax deduction will not fuel the gift because you could be talked into something else. But when you want to sustain an organization, if you want to provide funds to see your thought process, which is consistent with that organization's thought process, run consistently throughout, you're going to want to do something to provide funds for them to continue going. Whether it's building a gym or sustaining a chair in English in your college or whatever it may be, you're going to do something that's going to sustain the organization that you love. It comes from here.
Well, I'm looking because I love this line here. It talks about the desire to share one's good fortune. Well, when we have money to give, and I watched the CBS special on charitable giving at the billion-dollar level with Bill Gates and some of these really large philanthropy. These are huge.
Right.
When I see these people giving their money away, that kind of shows me, because we're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk about war on wealth. A lot of people are down on this, but look at what they do, and it's at the billion-dollar level. Most of these people have committed half of their entire fortune to go to charities. I'm kind of interested, though. Do you break this down? Do you see any more one over the other? Like, is it more religious? Is it more arts and sciences? Do you see that? Because you're doing this almost exclusively now.
Yeah, this is what I do. This is what I do. It's funny. I find that the passion is probably more in the educational sector, colleges, building programs, building endowment funds. And then I would say religious is probably next. And then following that is, let me tell you a really big one. people's own private family foundations.
That they create themselves.
That they create themselves.
Wow.
And that's a real big incentive for the wealthier client who doesn't want to just give money away every year. They want to give money to their own foundation, which is a qualified charity. They create their own foundation, which then doles out that money annually to all different charities. So you'd be surprised that that was your private family foundations are probably the third leading, at least the third leading cause that I get involved in.
Now, and you're seeing these family foundations. This is becoming a whole new trend in charitable giving.
Primarily because they're not as expensive to generate as they used to be. It used to be very expensive to create. Now they're getting more in line with it. So people at the $250,000 level can probably get involved in them.
Okay, so when we're talking about foundations, your favorite charities, religious, whatever it is, those charities, now you have kind of a nice category to pick from. I like that.
Yeah, and then they get to dole out that money every year. You got to give away 5% of your foundation assets every year, but it's really cool. You get to give out scholarships and grants. It's a lot of fun.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about a few charitable giving techniques. And don't forget, you can go out to Dan's site and buy his book, The Power of Leveraging the Charitable Remainder Trust, www.najito.com. And while you're online, sign up for your own 30-day free trial offer from Backroom Technician. Just go out to their site, brtnow.com/trialsignup.aspx. We'll be right back after the break. Back in the day, life insurance professionals were called field underwriters. Then, carriers trained their field force in the basics of life insurance underwriting. Today, the insurance industry doesn't educate the agent population as they once did. But now you can have the Informed Risk Guide at your fingertips so you can illustrate a reasonable rate class for your life insurance prospects. Just request your copy of the Informed Risk Guide at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. It's free from Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant with Dan Najito, and remember, you can watch all our episodes of Let's Get Down to Business and my weekly consumer show, Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Just go out to ashbrokerage.com and click on the show logo right on our homepage. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor, your legal counsel, as well as your broker-dealer compliance department. Let's get down to business. We're talking about a few charitable giving techniques that you can use in your practice. Well, Danny, I want to talk about charitable giving techniques, and I want to go back online on one of our docs from Backroom Technician. I'm looking at some of the ideas that you can do, like they give you some of the plans that are out there, like split interest gifts. I haven't heard any. Is that really people doing that still?
That's very popular. Split interest giving is really interesting because it's not a fully committed gift, but you're still committed. I mean, ultimately the gift is going to go to charity, but the split interest is some of that's going to come back to you during the time that there's a length of time between the now and the day it goes to charity. So a split interest gift is when you're going to give something to charity, but there's some benefit coming back to you, either in the form of income now, and then the gift ultimately goes to charity, or income to charity now, and the gift ultimately comes back to you.
So there's so many ways to do this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's myriads of variations.
Yep.
What about the basic ones like charitable remainder trust, unit trust? Are those still hot or not as good?
Charitable remainder trust, to me, listen to this, and you might want to get a close-up. They're the single greatest financial planning tool in the history of creation. They're the best thing going. Charitable remainder trusts are very cool because it's a way of taking an asset today, setting it aside and keeping it sheltered, designating it to go to charity. But between now and the time it goes to charity, you get income stream coming back to you and other people in your family. You get a tax deduction for today for what you plan to do when it goes to charity. Just really a tremendously dynamic tool, and unfortunately, most people think it's way too complex to discuss, and it really isn't.
So it's a basic concept, and I've seen this almost my entire 30 years. So this is a very popular technique. What about charitable remainder annuity trust, which is, I love this one personally, but how do you like that?
Well, I like annuity trust because they're very, very simple. They're the same concept of a charitable remainder trust. I put an asset in today, it's going to go to charity at some point in the future. Between now and that point in the future, the asset income is going to come back to me. And a unit trust is a percentage of the fair market value every year. An annuity trust, real simple. It's a dollar amount, fixed dollar amount from now until the day the asset goes to charity.
What about when we're talking about pooled income funds? Do we still see that a lot in
Well,
your area?
you do this is very popular in colleges and universities and large religious organizations and historical societies and things like that. It allows people to give smaller size gift, and that's not to demean any size gift, but a $5,000, $1,000, $6,000 gift goes to the organization, the charitable organization. All those funds are pooled together, hence the name, pooled income fund. And then they sit with the charity, and you get a percentage of the income each year for the rest of your life.
And I like that because you said it's very popular, especially with people who don't have big money.
Yeah.
This is really great to be, I can give even if I have a big heart, but I have a small wallet.
You know, people look. Let's look at charitable giving this way. When I say it starts in the heart, I'm going to write you a check for $500. Gone. But then there's those gifts whereas I want to give you a bigger check, but I can't give it all. I mean, I like to have some income from that. I need some benefit from that. That's where you see the pooled income funds, the charitable remainder and charitable remainder annuities and unit trusts. It's when you see the gift annuities and things of that nature. So those are gifts where you give them to charity, but you're going to get some benefit back.
Now, speaking about charitable gift annuity, I mean, that's kind of I think, a somewhat popular. Is it still as popular as I remember it?
Yeah, it's very popular. Now we're talking
how does that work exactly?
Now we're talking about a gift to an older age demographic. Because it's a function of your life expectancy. And basically what's happening is you're going to write a check to the charity. Now the key here with this and pooled income funds is that the charity is in control. Okay, so you give it to the organization, you have no control over it, they have your money. They're going to then go to a table that they use, and there's a committee of gift annuities. The charities don't have to abide by this rate, but most of them do. And based upon your age, they're going to calculate how much of a percentage, like a regular immediate income annuity would be, how much of a percentage of that income you should be getting for the rest of your life. So you give the charity the gift. Charity takes that money and they're going to invest it. In return, they're going to start paying you an annuity payment like you would be used to getting from a SPIA. And that annuity is, is principal, interest, and long-term capital gain, just like a SPIA. But it's a SPIA that's funded by the charity, and and the benefit of that is you're going to get tax deduction to set it up.
And do you know going in what your income's going to be?
Yeah.
And can it be for 10 years, lifetime, whatever?
Yeah, well, usually they base it upon your lifetime period certain.
Okay, so if I have life expectancy, I'm going to get a guaranteed income stream, that's what I'm hearing you say,
Yep.
as well as I'm going to get some deduction for that upfront gift.
Right, and if you're in your, 70s, 80s, those numbers can get really nice. In a low interest rate environment like we're in right now, very powerful tool.
Yeah, mortality credits are huge, and they're just applying this to the interest and the principal return. I think this is really a great idea just because many people have assets they really don't know they're going to really need.
Yeah.
And they don't really need to transfer it. They just need the income.
And you'd find that most charitable organizations, larger ones, have a charitable gift annuity available to their donors. So it's a great idea to go talk to the charity if you're interested in doing something like that.
Well, that's our show for today. Remember, you can read all my online news commentary, advisor blogs, and articles on Producers Web, as well as my answers to consumer questions on the Insurance Library. You can also view all our past episodes on our on-demand section located at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. So follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or just email me, steves.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. Happy holidays, everyone.